my name is Kaja, and this is the end of the year, also the time when the Pantone Color of the Year for 2025 was reviewed, and I want to do a makeup look that inspired by that color. So what is exactly the Pantone Color of the Year? So Pantone is a color order system used in a variety of industries, notably graphic design, fashion design, product design, printing, and manufacturing, and supporting the management of color from design to productions in physical and digital formats among coated and uncoated material, cotton, polyester, nylon, and plastic. So they have a thing called the Pantone Color of the Year program. It engages the design community and color enthusiasts in a conversation around color, highlighting the relationship between color and culture. Pantone selects a color each year that captures the global zeitgeist, the color of the year express a global mood, an attitude reflecting a collective desire in the form of a single distinct hue. It's kind of subjective to this company to decide what is the statement of the culture that they want this color to express, but I think it's fascinating from a fashion designing, interior designing, and just aesthetics point of view to know that you can capture the spirit of the year just by a single distinctive hue. And for 2025, the Pantone Color Institute select Pantone 171230 Mocha Mousse. It is a warming brown hue imbued with richness. It's nurturous with its suggestions of the delectable qualities of chocolate and coffee, answering our desire for comfort. It's also described as simple and comforting. It's a soft, warming brown that can stand alone and serve as a versatile foundation, enhancing a wide range of palettes and applications, from minimalist to richly detailed designs across all color-focused industries. And if you go to the Pantone website, specifically the tab that reviewed the color of the year 2025, you can see a lot of info, a lot of inspirations, and different type of color palettes that you can incorporate this color of the year into, such as something called Flortte Pathway, which has that Mocha Mousse color, also the cornflower blue, violet, cobblestone, and other ones such as Deliciousness, Uniquely Balanced, and Subtle Contrast. I think this is quite an interesting choice to pick a color that's pretty basic and neutral and prompt to use it as foundation to layer other colors on top. I personally, this is my personal opinion, I really like this color. This is basically me in the last few years of doing my makeup, which is pretty basic, giving me the comfort of knowing that I don't have to go an extra length to do my makeup. I can just like lay low a little bit and apply a color that's versatile and could head me towards a lot of directions if I want to go a little bit bolder or if I want to go a little bit simpler. I really enjoy this kind of color, and it's quite genius with the name Mocha Mousse, because it just reminds me of also the comfort, and I think that's kind of in the intentions behind this kind of color. It reminds you of a cup of coffee, like a warming Saturday morning when you can just relax, you don't have much to do, maybe running a bit of errands later in the day. And personally, me and my boyfriend, we have been enjoying chocolate pudding and the chocolate mousse lately, but it has to be a specific low sugar, low fat wine, and my boyfriend, he is really into that right now. He got a bunch of puddings and a bunch of mousses like that, and every time we can share a tub of chocolate pudding, it reminds me of that feeling. And the color alone, a lot of people, like I read on Reddit, just very briefly, people said this is kind of a yucky color. It's like it reminds them of fecal matter. I don't know, like you could say that, but look at this color, I definitely do feel the comfort of, oh, it's the warming brown but not too warm. I don't want to describe it as a warm brown. I don't think, to me, someone with a warm undertone would call it extremely warm. It has a balance of red and blue in terms of undertone. I deem it to be quite neutral. It has this kind of pastel feeling. It has a bit of brown in it. Thinking of the way that you make a mousse, you definitely have to add like cream at some point to the concoctions, and that's why it has this kind of like airy, light, widen kind of feeling. So just exactly what I would want to wear on a daily basis lately. And I have to disagree with a lot of opinions that, oh, it's so boring. I would understand why a lot of people think it's too basic and too boring, but in terms of trends, they come and go. So a lot of people would follow the trend and a lot of people would refuse not to. And I think it's okay for you to stay on the two polar opinions of, oh, I disagree with this, I agree with this, and I will take it as my inspiration for the next year. And maybe I don't want it, I disagree with it, I'll stick with my true color palettes, and that's okay. And I already said that this opinion, these selections of the Pantone Color of the Year is subjected to this specific company, which is the most famous color system in the world. So there's some way in terms of the influence that they can deliver for these decisions. It doesn't mean it has to be the absolute. You can express yourself by any sort of color you want, but I think it's just a fun touch for the next year, knowing that you are gonna hear a lot of people talking about this color of the years maybe for the first 3 months of the year, and then it dies down. That's what I have observed in the last few years, knowing that, oh, there is a Pantone Color of the Year. So at the end of the day, maybe it's that inconsequential. You know that there's a trendy color of the year, but how long it can last is really the focal point here. And sometimes it's just a silly thing that someone will want to do a makeup look, they want to style an outfit that is inspired by the color of the year, and that's totally okay. That's what I'm doing here right now. So let's talk about the visions of the look today. I've done my complexions and I want to do a full matte look. When I think of Mocha Mousse and think of the finish of a mousse as a dessert, I think of a matte finish. That's just my opinion, but I want to express it that way. So I did pull out my Matchbox, the original, for the finish and blur. I want to use this one as a mattifying, like a blurring primer to give finish a little bit of a matte kind of look. I do have oily skin, so I do want to use this as a mattifying primer to prevent any excess oil to be produced on my skin after the skincare. I apply this Dior Flash Perfector concealer. It has a natural matte finish, which I really enjoy, and like I said, it is described as a warming brown color, but I don't think it's that warm. So I want to interpret it in my way, and I want to translate that interpretation into the makeup look, so I actually use this. It's a green powder, so it helps neutralize the redness on my face so that I can be sure that my complexion is at the neutral level right now. And a lot of focus on the look today is going to be finding the warmingly neutral brow. That's called Mocha Mousse. And I don't want everything to go too much into the deep and bold kind of directions. I want to keep everything more on the lighter side. I don't know why, because like the light, comfort, soft feeling described in the paragraph that I just read, I feel like the makeup look should be minimal in terms of the number of products that you use, also how much product that you apply. So I'll start with a blush, also a bronzer. I want to use this brown blush from the brand Flortte. It's the Good Friends blush duo. I have the shade number 6, and there's a warm brown in this palette. I want to use it as a blush and bronzer at the same time, and to make sure there's a sheer wash of warming brown on my face. Flortte is a sea beauty brand that I recently tried, and surprisingly a lot of the product that I bought from this brand are actually of this color, which is quite interesting. You're gonna see me use some more product from this brand that has this, you know, like soft pastel-y brown. And I think it's obvious that I've been into this brown tone lately. I used to be not really into brown. I was the one that at one point thought, oh, brown is so boring, like except bronzer, I don't want to put anything brown on my face. It makes my face look sad. This blush is not very pigmented, but I can still definitely see like a sheer kind of contouring, kind of like sculpting finish on the skin. And I guess part of what I want to do today is also to desaturate my face a little bit. I would assume, I haven't like done or like researched this topic thoroughly, but in terms of contrast, I have a high contrast complexion because I have light yellow to neutral skin tone, and I have dark hair. Yep, very dark hair, like that's definitely typical Asian feature. So to make that Mocha Mousse color looks good at me, I have to pour the contrast down a little bit, and part of that is to use lighter, more desaturated color. I'm not sure, like it's just my feeling. I have no idea what I'm talking about maybe, and I don't know how to manipulate color theory to make that work. But desaturations is what I'm focusing on right now, and I hope that it works. I do want to bronze up my face a little bit, so I just apply a little bit of this Kaja Bento, Play Bento Blush and Bronzer Trio. I have the shade number 2 Cloud Latte, just a little bit of bronzer, because I feel like my complexions right now is a little bit flat. So I hope that this bronzer would help, and hopefully it won't make the complexion turn into a dewy finish. I don't think it would with the way that I use it right now. Tapping it in with a sponge. Okay, let's talk about Mocha Mousse in my eyeshadow and eyeshadow palette. I have picked some powder eyeshadows. Also, I have one liquid eyeshadow that to me are closest to that Mocha Mousse color. First of all, let's talk about this liquid eyeshadow. It's from the brand also Flortte. I have the shade M04, Yep, it's a cream eyeshadow with a neutral light brown. I would assume, like based on what I see right now, I feel like it has a rosy undertone, a rosy mauve undertone, but when you actually blend it out, I feel like it's very close to that warming neutral brown that we are looking for. And when I put the palette side to side to the color that I see on the website, this shade from the Going Coconut palette from Colourpop is called Colada. It's definitely the closest to that color that I can tell. Yeah, it has a hint of warm, but to me maybe my eye works differently. I feel like that color is supposed to be a neutral brown. Like, do you agree with the warming hue that they say? Like, maybe because the way that they mix all of the pigments together to create that color, and they feel like they use more warm pigments. Like traditionally those pigments are categorized into the warm family of colors, so maybe that's why they can say that, oh, that's a warm color because of the pigments, because of the components that are integrated into the color to make the color looks that way. But that is Colada from Colourpop, and once again from Flortte. Like, I didn't realize that I have recently purchased so many products that have that color of the year. I mean, I think maybe I'm the one who's trendy right now. This is the Nice to Meet You palette. This is palette number 5, and this is the lighter warm brown in this palette. I guess this brown is a bit rosier than the Going Coconut. That's why I say Going Coconut with the warmth in it is the closest to the Mocha Mousse color. And lastly, I have this little Hershey Cookies and Cream palette. It's a bunch of pastel-y, neutral light browns in the palette, and this shade, it doesn't have a shade name yet, but this shade in the corner is the neutral brown that I think could be a good contestant for that color. So in terms of gradient, the Colourpop one definitely the neutralest, or should the darkest. I definitely want it to be a bit lighter to actually remind me of the color, the pigment level of that Mocha Mousse color. But the undertone is a bit more spot on than the other two. This one is quite rosy and this one is absolutely orange and yellow. So I think with today's look, I'm gonna use the cream eyeshadow and the one in the Colourpop palette. And I'm just gonna do a simple look today using the cream eyeshadow, blend it out, and then using the powder eyeshadow to deepen it out. I do feel relief that the trend for next year is, I mean, this is just like one entity trying to predict the trend for next year, but I'm a bit relieved, to be honest, to know that, oh, we want simple looks, we want minimalism, we want something that's a little bit comforting and accessible in the future. That's, at least that's what is predicted, and I can definitely see that direction, that trajectory happening in the beauty community these days. Like, I've seen a lot of people doing simple looks, and I myself getting inspired more with simple looks compared to the intricate, colorful purple and pink look that I did before. I believe it has something, not maybe entirely, but there might be one contributing factor to that trend. That might be the current state of the economy. Also, maybe the attitude towards makeup and beauty of the most influential generations, sometimes we have to think of, oh, what is the crowded population that are in charge of making everything popular right now, and how the psychology of that group of people could actually change the state of the whole industry. And if I have to predict, Gen Z and younger millennials, they are definitely very important in setting the trends, in making something popular and viral, because they are controlling the narrative of the beauty industry, of the beauty community. And when they say that, oh, we should do a something, or these something should be made popular, that definitely has some weight in it compared to other generations. It's fascinating the way that there's a group of people that control the power of changing the narrative, and I think that's telling that there's always an echo chamber on social media, knowing who has the say in what is popular and what should be praised at the moment. That's really helpful for you to know your demographic, because even when they have the power to control the narrative, they control what is important, what is popular. It doesn't mean they are always right and they are always the one that we should trust. We should know why they have that power over the state of such communities, and why they get their influence, and whether they have used their influence for the good. I just really like the color. I just like the tone of this look right here, and it's matching with the top that I'm wearing. And like I said, I'm all in the mood for a neutral look and a neutral outfit and a neutral everything. So I feel like setting out for the next year, I'm gonna do this color look more, and knowing that this is the color of the year, I would feel a little bit more rewarding to wear this look. I don't know. And for the lips, I'm using the Flortte Super Cute Things lip liner. I have the shade number 5, I believe, Coffee. Like I said, I am surprised by how much accurate I predicted the trend way ahead of time. Like even the shade name Coffee, and look at the color. It's the exact warming latte milk tea kind of brown, and I love this lip liner so much. The formulation is kind of that in between kind of texture. It's not too creamy, it's not too thick, it's not dragging but not melting. It's just really nice, super easy to work with. And to fill in the lips, I have to use my tried and true Maybelline Powder Matte, the Powder Matte lipstick. I have the shade Toasted Brown, and you can tell that it's pretty warm. It's orangey warm compared to the rest of my look. Because of the formula, the Powder Matte formula is blurring, and it reminds me of the feeling, the texture of that color. It doesn't make sense because a color doesn't have a texture. Like if you have a certain material, there's a physical touching feeling of that material, and then there's a color on top of it. But this is already the neutral-ish color of a matte lipstick I have in my collection right now. That's why I use it. But I think pairing it with this lip liner, which is like a true warmingly neutral brown, I think they go well together. And sometimes I have to acknowledge that certain colors, they don't look good on my lips alone, like this color on over my lip. a disaster. Like I look like I'm sick, but if I pair it with like a different darker color, it would bring the contrast of my face together. Like if it's too desaturated, it's not my face anymore, but if I give it a little bit of oomph, a little bit of color, it enhances, also complement my high contrast complexion. And that is the look for today. I feel extremely comforted doing this look, knowing that I don't have to be afraid of being boring for the new year, and that shouldn't be a sentiment that any of us should have, because there's no such color as boring. Boring is a feeling, and if you don't feel that specific feeling towards the color, then it doesn't exist. Like don't create a problem. Don't listen to someone and feel like you have a problem with your own opinions. Just make sure that it's not harmful. Like you have the right to have your own opinion, up to your own judgment. You have to make sure that it's not harmful to anyone. And I think a color of the year is just a silly, just like a little extra thing that you can leave it or take it. I think it's just fun. Once again, I'm Cloudy, and hopefully we see each other again. Bye.